Yes, yes.
I think there was internet problem. So
No, no, it's okay. Yes, there
okay.
was an internet problem. Perfect. But
Mhm,
now this is the second part of the video.
mhm,
So we will continue the reading this book. Okay.
mhm,
Nature's path based on fossil record.
mhm.
If we look at the history of evolution of species on Earth, we find that over time the very primitive species have evolved into the most developed species. Life first started on Earth about 3,500 million years ago. Since then, the nature has been following a direction of evolution of consciousness. This record is preserved in form of fossil on Earth from the very beginning as shown in figure 1.1. Let us look at this record in some detail.
Do you have any comment on that paragraph?
Uh, Let us look. I don't, I don't know. Oh,
Well,
will we continue or we will look the figure?
yeah, we can look at the figure here. This is the figure one.
Ah, perfect. Yeah, I'm agree that in the beginning the consciousness it was very basic. Probably it wasn't,
Mhm.
but now we are very we got philosophy. So we used to study the consciousness. So yes, probably I think the evolution the evolving of the species is in that way. I'm agree.
Yeah, but I don't believe in this paragraph. What I do believe, I'm saying, I'm again using the word believe because 3,500 millions, it's a long period of time. Well, I don't know if I believe the human consciousness was always here, maybe in a different form, but the
Mm,
intelligence or the consciousness is not evolved from bacteria. I don't believe in that. Maybe we have developed or we have evolved in certain physical aspects from one type of physical aspect to another type of physical aspect. So it's
mm,
not, in fact, I don't believe that. I'm again using the word believe that the evolution theory, as it has been believed by many other people, saying that everyone is evolving from the bacteria colony, and from there, the same question I have. If we don't know that the earth has been or the big bang happened or not, everything is related to big bang. Everything is in the reference of big bang. At the time of big bang, people say big bang happened 14 billion years ago, then after 4.5 billions, from this time before 4.5 billions, earth came into existence, and then life came into existence. So suppose if big bang never happened, the form of life at the time when the universe was constricting was different, then how can you say that there was no conscious being as human of today? Well, it's an extrapolation for me, so I don't believe in it, but
mhm.
I don't oppose it as well.
Yeah, yeah. For you, it's just a way for explaining
It is
it.
just people say it, like
Yeah.
people said that God created all lives. For me, evolution theory created all lives like that.
Mm.
In fact, evolution theory has some evidences. That's the plus point with evolution theory. The other thing doesn't have any proof. So in fact, I'm more in the side of the evolution theory than the God creation.
Mm. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Mhm.
Okay. Evidence or of whatever happens on Earth in form of any activity involving either living and non-living, eventually get washed off by rain and rivers into the sea and deposit there together with the dust and the bottom at the bottom.
Mhm.
The story of life is preserved as fossil in the sediments. It is clear from this record that life on Earth began about 3,500 million years, millions, or maybe even 3,800 million years ago, with relatively simply one-celled
Mhm.
microorganism. The first uh,
Carriers. Mhm.
prokaryotes,
Mhm.
yes, the first prokaryotes. They have existed and evolved for about 2 billion years longer than the multicelled eukaryotic
Mhm.
organism and slowly evolved into mobile and flying species.
Mhm.
Mammals and humans arrived from the scenes very recently. The Homo sapiens emerged only about 4 million years ago. This sequence and the tree of life is shown in the figure 1.1. If we ignore the small perturbation which have occurred occasionally, we find the broad pattern that essentially the nature itself has followed a direction, the path of evolution of consciousness to higher and higher level. Thus, we may conclude that the natural of true path is the one which evolves consciousness to a higher level. We can then say that every action which enhances the consciousness to the higher level is dharma, and any step which goes to the reverse directions, it means reduce the level of consciousness, is adharma.
So here the translation of religion is not exactly the meaning of dharma. You see, dharma is not as the concept of dharma is not as the concept of religion.
No, the
So
dharma is
a Hindi word, it's
uh, enhance the consciousness to a higher level. Yeah, but it's not exactly, not all the religion have that goal, for example.
Mhm.
And adharma.
Mhm.
Jainism classifies species in one sense, touch, to five senses, touch, smell, taste, hearing, and vision species. Nature seems to have started with one sensed organism and evolved to the five senses five sensed organism. Jainism also mentions five types of knowledge: Gyan, Mati,
Knowledge is gyan. Gyan is Hindi word.
ah, and knowledge is Hindi word for Gyan is the Hindi word for knowledge.
Yes.
Gyan. Mati, Shruti, Avadi,
Mhm.
Mana,
Parya. Mhm.
sorry, how is
Manah Paryay.
Mana Pariyai
Mhm.
and
Keval.
Keval,
Mhm.
omniscience. The evolution of a species has, as found in the fossil record in deep sea sediment, and the accompanying evolution of consciousness seem to follow this direction of acquiring knowledge from lower to higher level, extrapolating this trend into the future. It can be predicted that the level of consciousness will develop further with time and superhuman will no doubt arise. Jainism prescribe a methodology to attain higher level of consciousness. Evolution to the next stage is expected in future. In nature continues to tread this evolutionary path. This stage will be accompanied by higher level of Gyan.
The knowledge. Gyan
Mm.
is Hindi word, which is knowledge. You have any comment, any question, or any?
And yeah, no, I probably can continue. I think they they are giving the context
And like
and
the context, do you like it's something? It is more
yes,
scientific.
yes, I like it. I like how to introduce the the concept. And I like that it's in certain way scientific, so it's more close to me. So and I think it's close to the most of the people because, uh, for example, in Occident, different religions is not common.
Uh-huh.
Not the people is it's not common for the people different religion. They only know one or two,
Uh-huh.
so but they are very close to the science, to the concept of how science changed the life. So
Mhm.
so to me, this is I think it's a straight way to understand the
Uh-huh.
Jainism. Okay. Study. Let's continue.
Mhm.
A study of the fossil record in sediment has taught us many other things, some of which are summarized below. 1. As mentioned above, evolution of consciousness has been the path taken by nature, from single cells to multicellular, to more complex marine species, and ultimately to mammals and the human via a detour through plants, etc., describes the direction of this evolution. The most primitive species, algas, had
Algas.
all algas, yeah, had only mati-gyan.
Mhm.
Is a very basic knowledge. Is I don't.
Yes. In
Okay.
the past, he explained the 5 types of knowledge.
Yes.
So here, these are the names: Mati, Shruti, Avadhi, Manparya, and Keval.
Mm,
So the fundamental, the single cellular have only Mati Jnana, only the touch.
only a touch. Perfect.
Mm.
So, the most primitive species, like a alga, had only mati-gyan, and later the higher species, mammals, developed shruti-gyan.
But here we can see here clearly when we talk about the knowledge or the senses, I would say it as a sensor. So
Mm,
algae is a plant in
yeah.
the sea. And here you can see clearly that in India, people used to believe in very for a long ancient time that plants have a life.
Mm,
Plants are living thing
yeah.
and have characterized what type of senses. We have 5 senses, right? And which type of sense they have. So
The
they have
touch.
the sensation
Mm,
of touch.
yeah.
The
Touch. Mm,
yes,
mm, yeah. But that is why, because they have touch, they have kind of conscious of touch. So
yes,
it's one of knowledge. The knowledge of
yes,
touch is
yes, yes,
perfect.
exactly.
Mm. Mm. The human have discovered laws and developed ways of calculation by which they can acquire a kind of Havadi Gyan
mhm,
transcending space and time.
mhm,
They can reasonably well estimate what happened in the remote past anywhere in the universe and can well predict the future.
mhm,
The evolution of consciousness thus has been accompanied by evolution of Gyan to a higher state. It means from Mati to Shruti to Avadi has can be seen from the species existing in various time in this evolutionary chain. Extrapolating this in the future will imply that the further evolution will lead to higher level of consciousness and gyan with time to the Manapparai
mhm,
and ultimately to Keval Gyan.
mhm,
There is nothing which remain to Keval Gyan. There is
mhm,
nothing which remain to be known after one acquire Keval Gyan, and eventually everyone should become a Kevali. If nature has its way, I, although, although this is only an extrapolation, considering the logic on which science works, this looks inevitable. Yeah.
Any comment on this first
Yes, yes.
observation?
Um, yes, I understand that the author is saying that this is an extrapolation. Yeah,
Mhm,
it's a way to explain, and that is very related to some to a common knowledge for at least for the occidental or for the scientific people, for example, that is the evolution theory. So yes, we believe that the species evolve in a from the very basic like plants that they don't from plants to very complex species like a human, like a cat, some animal,
mhm, mhm,
some mammal.
mhm,
So in this evolution, it's not only evolving just the species, it's evolving the knowledge of the species. So the species in a very basic way only knows the touch,
mhm,
but so probably they have a brain that knows about the touch because
mhm,
they can react when they, they have some stimulus related with touch.
mhm,
But when you have a complex species like a mammal, like the
mhm,
human, we have a touch and vision and different sense.
mhm,
So that and we have the knowledge of all that sense because that is we can. So the idea is the same. The idea is the human is evolving, or not the human. We are evolving. The species are evolving, and the consciousness is evolving. And now we are just in a state. And in the future we will evolve in another, maybe in another sense that is another knowledge.
mhm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh,
So um, yeah, that is my interpretation of this, and
mhm.
I, I don't know if it's uh, uh, it's okay.
Yeah, well, what I understand that until now, the summary of the story is that nature has a purpose. When the author says nature, that simply means it came into existence, and then certain species came into existence as a single cell species, and then they evolved not physically only but also uh, intelligently also. So the idea is that why it is happening is it is happening because nature has a purpose, that a species evolve from very low level of consciousness to higher level of consciousness. And the author is extrapolating that if this is true, that nature has a purpose, if this is the path of nature, the current humans or the current species will evolve in further consciousness, the further intelligent or more knowledgeable consciousness. That's how science work. That the author is trying to say that science work, the science prediction is like that, some kind of model, looking at the facts. Okay, now consider the point 2.
Point 2. The fossil record shows that the evolution is accompanied not only by development of new species, but extinction of some of the old form of life. Sooner or later, extinction of all and every species will occur, and they will be replaced by new species. It means we can say that extinction is the ultimate fate of all species.
You get the point?
Yes.
For example, there in the past there was a species, let's say S1, classified as S1, and the whole species classified as S1 has been vanished, and new species take place. The new species appear. Similarly, the new species in time is going to disappear. The third new species is going to appear. So fundamentally, all the species that are appearing are going to disappear completely as a species. So new thing is going. That's why I don't believe evolution as coming from single cell to the multi-cell. I do believe that the human consciousness, not only human consciousness, the human consciousness, the human intelligence always existed, maybe in a different form, maybe in a different type of physical appearance, but it was always there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm getting your point. Okay. Point 3. The higher species may arise not necessarily from the highest existing species, but can occur from any level, even much lower. There are instances that a lower species has given rise, by a quantum jump, to a much higher level from the point of view of consciousness of a species. This implies that we cannot predict what a species will evolve to a higher level, and when, and therefore all forms and life must be considered as sacred and need to be preserved for achieving higher level of consciousness. Disappearance of even very low-ranking species may delay or derail the process of acquiring higher levels by natural selections. It's a I think it's a hard paragraph. It's the
Okay.
hard point, but I like it because.
So
Okay. Let's discuss this point, because they are telling that the evolution is not a kind of roller coaster that is going high all the time. So it's not this species evolved to this and this evolved to this, and all the time is going high in a very slow way, and it's not like it's not all the time like a ranking in which is the most popular species, because all the species are very important, And okay, certain of species preserve the life. They keep living for a long time, but doesn't mean that another species uh, can be very important for certain purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So all the species are very important, not the more evolved species.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my understanding. Yeah.
Okay. So in the first two lines, what author says, the higher species may arise not necessarily from the highest existing species, but can occur from any level, even much lower.
Mm.
So there are hidden things in these lines. When author is, well, as far as I can interpret it, it's not that a monkey is going to be a human from the consciousness point of view. So
Mm.
it's about the, for example, uh, an insect could be a human, but not in the same life. It could change the life.
Mm.
You're getting my point? An insect, for example, how it happens, how the evolution could work, possibly. That it's not that the chimpanzee are directly changing to the humans. Chimpanzees first have to die
Yeah.
to evolve as a new generation more intelligent than the past. You
Yeah.
get it?
Right.
It is
Right.
not the same chimpanzee who evolved in the same life from chimpanzee to human or from ape to human. If it is true, I don't believe in it. I'm just making an analogy. I'm putting some analogy that is popular. I don't believe in it. I have my doubts, I have my questions, but I am more aligned towards it. I don't reject it. At the same time, I don't accept it because I have many questions about it, about this evolution. But in third paragraph, what the author is trying to say is that, for example, an insect could die in one life, and in another life, the insect is going, could be a human. That is what I understand in this mean. Otherwise, it cannot it cannot stand alone.
Mm.
I mean, from an insect, if an insect is dying, new insects are born. So
Right.
the
Yes.
born itself is very complicated phenomena because it include the concept of life, and concept of life itself is unknown. It's
Yep.
not just biological, or it's not just objective scientific approach.
Exactly.
So that's what I understand from these two lines. And there are instances that a lower species has given rise by a quantum jump. When the author is using this word quantum jump, I understand it is in the sense of
A
dying
big
in life.
change. Yeah.
Yes, dying in one life and going to another type of life that is different. The insect dead, and now insect is born as human. It's an
Yeah,
analogy.
but
I'm saying
yes.
again, it's an analogy.
Mm. Yes, but I think, for example, an analogy is like, for example, there is certain animal that live very good with sun. So the global warming is very good for this animal. So
Mhm,
this is an example.
mhm,
And but the problem with this animal is that the people in the street, they cannot live with people on the street. But now
mhm,
there are no people in the street and there are a lot of sun, so
mhm.
this animal is living in the best moment in his life. So
Oh, the animal life.
if the species is getting a quantum change, so probably they will reproduce more and they will evolve because in some of this reproduction will have a another powerful things. I don't know.
Yes,
This is
but
my
that
analogy in my mind. Yeah.
yes, but that animal will not give birth to a human.
Hmm.
You're getting my point?
Yes. No, I'm getting your point. Yeah. But
So the idea is the animal who is dead already, the something, the energy of or soul of that animal has come back in another form, in another level of consciousness, in another form of
yeah.
life. That's how it can have a jump like from one consciousness to another consciousness. Otherwise, it cannot be explained. I mean, that's why I don't believe in evolution theory, because it is just about matching the physical things. It has nothing to do, it doesn't explain how the consciousness evolved from single cell species to the five sensed species that we are as a human being now. It has nothing, it has no explanation of it. It never
Mm.
tells at which point of time you require two gender to reproduce. I don't understand that. Which nature selection will do that? Can you do it now? Why you need male and female to reproduce? Why not in a single body?
Mm. I don't know.
And, and why it is necessary? I mean, why to?
Mm.
Why men can't give birth to babies? I don't understand that. Why natural selection happened in that way? A lot of species have gone, but nobody have seen yet a clear transformation from one species to another. I mean, you can have transformation between, for example, wolf and dogs within the same class.
Mm.
Wolf and dogs, they cross, you have German Shepherd, for example. Donkey and horse,
I,
tiger and lion,
I,
they are the
I,
same. But you
yes.
never have heard, you have never listened, you never seen those that a monkey and a man, chimpanzee and a human. No, it never happened.
Mm.
And when you say it requires a lot of time, at first you define what the hell is time, how the time is affecting your consciousness. I don't understand that. These are just words for me. These are some words that people put to explain, but I don't know how time is affecting your consciousness, how time is helping you to evolve in a higher conscious species.
Mm.
There is no mathematical equation that can prove, even theoretically, that consciousness from the single cell species has evolved with this mathematical formula that has the time dependence to the five sensed human being. And all the human beings have a different type of intelligence, different type of intellect. And how will you consider that? It doesn't explain that.
Mm.
So what I believe at the time when Darwin gave this theory, it was a good time to give that theory because there were not so much advancement in science. But now the science is developed like boom. So if you cannot prove so fundamental things, for me it's like saying that God created the universe and God created the life. The same that evolution created everything and Big Bang created the universe. For me, it's like that. In fact, because there exists some evidences in a little bit more, my tendency is little bit more believe in Big Bang and but not the way as it is taught in evolution theory than the God creation. Again, I'm saying that. Okay.
Okay. Let's
So
continue.
the
Huh?
summary of the third point is that the author wants to say that it's not that because we are higher conscious, so we should disrespect everybody else. killing the ants, killing the insects. That's not the idea. Higher species means more responsibilities, so we must protect them. We should respect them. That is the whole summary of the third point, as far as I understand. Okay.
Okay, let's continue.
Mhm.
Based on the observation of physical characteristics and their interrelation in several species, Darwin found that they have evolved in different ways over time as a consequence of interaction with the environment, and conclude that the evolution takes place by natural selection, and life is a struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. He misses the underlying trend of the evolution of consciousness, the journey of life on Earth, and that has been from a very low level of consciousness in a single-celled species to the higher level seen currently in humans. As far as we can extrapolate, this trend should continue in the future. This, then, is the path of nature, and it has set itself a goal of raising the level of consciousness to the highest level.
Mhm.
One important point may be noted here regarding the origin of the evolution of life. All species are symmetrical and have binary system: two eyes, two arms, two legs, etc. All the life on Earth therefore probably has the same root. They are three, three they are There are three basic types of species on Earth: archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. And it has been speculated that all plant and animal kingdom has originated from them. In essence, all of them have a common ancestor. If this is true, all of them may have same root as can be seen in the phylogenetic tree of life.
Figure 1.2. Oh,
Okay, let's see.
this is figure 1.2. The tree of life.
Mm,
Okay.
Any comment about the tree of life?
No, I don't believe in it. It's a belief. For me, it's a belief. But
Yeah,
I am more
but
towards,
it could be a model. It's a model.
yes, it is.
Mm.
Even it's not a model, man. Because it just consider the fact of, here it says clearly the phylogenetic. The phylogenetic, it simply means that you have genetic matching.
Yeah.
So matching, sometimes it's good, but not all the time.
Yes, you're right. Okay. There is another fundamental point to be noted in the context of Jainism. Jainism postulates that Jiva and Pudgala are separated entities, uncreated, without beginning and end, everlasting, coexisting and interacting, influencing each other, yet unrelated, while Jiva or Atma is sentient, conscious,
Mhm.
incorporeal, immaterial, formless, weightless, colorless, odorless, eternal. Matter is corporeal, non-sentiment, non-physical, inner entity. One cannot be produced from the other. Modern scientific thought speculates, but has not been able to prove, that life has originated from matter. The probability that molecules will assemble in such a way that they will give rise to living species in extremely small, calculated by some scientists to be 10 over 100 minus 140.
Mhm. This is the probability.
Yes, it's nothing. This is too small to result in any organization required even for the simplest species over the lifetime of the universe. Yet scientists have hypothesized, after a long debate, that there may be favorable conditions, architecture, catalysis, and templates by which the molecules can get together fast to form complex, large organism molecules and then living organisms, and search for such routes to life are continuing. The hypothesis got a big boost by the experiment of Miller and Henry.
Ure.
In this experiment, Henry, yeah, in this experiment, in which when an electric discharge was passed in a mixture of simple life-forming molecules like carbon dioxide, ammonia, water, and methane, etc., complex large molecules like amino acid, protein, and similar building blocks of life were formed in a short time. This experiment, however, has not resulted in a living organism, however simple and primitive. Although science has shown that matter, having mass m, which is corporeal and inert, can be converted in energy,
Mhm.
following the famous law E is equal to mc squared, where c is the velocity of light, which itself is corporeal and capable of bringing in transformation and vice versa. It has not answered the question that how does something as consciousness as matter can give rise to something as symmetrical as consciousness? Is life just an aggregation of chemical elements, or it is something more? That is a question. Mm.
Mhm.
Can assemblage of material components spontaneously produce self-conscious ego, uh, aware of itself? In day-to-day experience, we see that only life can give rise to life, and it is impossible to produce life from not living matter. We will debate the question further in chapter 2, but be as it may, let us first consider the universality of the path taken by the nature.
Any comment about this paragraph? Any question?
Mm, no, it's okay, but
You get the whole.
I understand the point that the life is not easy to create. It's not like just you mix this chemical with another chemical and you create life. The probability for
Add.
create life is very low. So it's not. So when the people say, okay, we are created because in the earth we have this chemical component, it's not just like that, because it's not so easy. If you put that chemical component, you don't create life. You can create elements, but you don't create life. Not
Yes,
do you don't create consciousness.
yes. So here, yes, you are right. The idea of whole this paragraph is, as it is said in the first paragraph, that there are two separate things: jiva, the soul or the living thing, and pudgala. Pudgala is something which is material, which is not living thing, non-living thing, ajiva. They are separate entities. That is very important to to
Hmm.
and the whole other thing is to prove it. if they are separate thing or they can be. And the other thing is that one thing cannot be produced by another thing. Yes.
Mm. Yes.
So here the author is trying to say there were experiments where they mix some basic elements like carbon and all, and they make an electric spark. With that electric spark, they could produce the fundamental backbones or chains of amino acids that are necessary to have a life, but they were not living things. Still,
Yeah.
they were complex molecule that a living thing contained, but itself is it was not a living thing. So they couldn't prove that the only chemical thing or materialistic thing or pudgala can produce the jiva. It is not proven yet. And this experiment was performed by Miller and Urey. Anybody
Mm.
can search about it. It should be there. This I think this is very famous experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we are here.
Mhm. Let us begin. Sorry. Let us begin by debating the criteria of a universally acceptable religion in terms of the foregoing discussion. The foremost condition is that a universal religion should preserve all species, enable everyone to exist, and treat all lower as well as higher species as equal, allow living species to discover their true nature and improve their physical, mental, and spiritual well-being to enable them to evolve to a higher consciousness state. There are common requirements for accomplishment then, which should be inclusive and not exclusive, meaning thereby that they should benefit all and not some selected form of life. The principle for one of all to coexist involves non-violence toward each other. For them to discover their true nature involves search for truth. Physical well-being requires principle of sharing and equidistribution of resource and not amassing wealth by a selected few.
Mhm,
These are the principles of nonviolence, truth,
mhm,
aparigra,
mhm,
minimizing one's requirements, and achorja, non-stealing, and enunciated in Jainism. We can therefore call Jainism a universal religion. Thus, we can see that whether one calls himself a Jain or not, most human beings follow these four principles of Jainism. Beside these four principles, there is fifth principle of celibacy, introduced by Ma- Mahavira in
mhm,
the 5th century before Christ.
mhm.
A primary requirement for attaining enlightenment, which we'll discuss in later on chapter 6.
Any comment? Any question? Any observation?
um, yeah, I don't know how to start, but they use the some words, aparigra,
Yeah,
minimizing one's requirement. I don't understand too much that word.
it is like if you need just one shirt, why do you buy 10 shirts?
Okay, okay.
In your mind, you are not worried about it. You know that
Mm-hmm.
you have this one shirt and you enjoy this one shirt at the fullest. You don't need another shirt. It is an analogy. For example, you have two shirts. You wash one shirt one day, and you use another shirt another day,
Yeah.
and you enjoy it fullest. So you don't have these options of buying new shirt, another shirt.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I think um I don't have another comment. I think it's a nice paragraph. I like the idea of non-violence. I think that um, I am agree that there is no a special species. There is no a powerful species, and it's very important that all the species allows another to uh, obtain the highest levels of consciousness. So one way for doing that is the non-violence, and this is an external condition because and another one is more for internal, like a a parigra,
Mhm,
and yeah, because it's more. Uh,
mhm,
but they are like ways they are like lifestyles.
mhm.
Mm,
Yes, they are lifestyles. But here the author is trying to explain how you can debate about the universality of a religion. So what you must check, what you should check, for example, if you have some religion R or some religion X, what this religion X should include, or what are these teachings of these religions, so that they can be called as universal religion.
mm,
And there are the first point is that religion must be inclusive, not exclusive.
exactly.
And when you say inclusive, it's not only limited to humans or a specific group of humans. It is for all the living thing on the planet, even the plants. So there are fundamental aspects uh, or principles of religion that make that religion as a universal religion. But I'm saying again, the word religion itself is not a good translation of the concept of dharma. It's a different concept. It's not
Mm,
the concept as it religion.
no, yes,
That's why I think
getting the
the
point.
author, yes, the author is writing in inverted commas. That's why religion is
Yes.
written in that way.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. We are here.
Okay. Jainism divides the universe in two distinct parts, living and non-living, but gives equal importance to both. Just as physics in the science of the physical universe, Jainism is the science of soul, and more, since it also takes the physical universe into consideration. As any physicist will tell, the universe is governed by certain laws. The laws of physical are universal,
Mhm,
applicable, applicable at all times and places, cannot be violated, and there is no scope for miracles. Only when we do not understand a particular phenomena in terms of law of physics, we call it a miracle. But the moment the moment the phenomena is explained, the miracle ceases to exist. Mhm. The same is true. The same is true of living beings. The science of living beings or soul is more complicated, but according to Jainism, it also follows certain laws. When we do not understand this law fully, we invoke God. But, but moment the phenomena are understood, then the need of God disappears. Jainism has propounded this law applicable to living beings, the soul. These laws, Jainism claims have been enunciated by the enlightened soul, after they realized the state of omniscience through meditation and other techniques.
Any
Accord,
comment, any question, or you want to continue?
I'm getting the point. I think it's like the people use the religion in a similar way to use the science. When they don't understand something, they say, "Oh, I don't understand why I have a head pain, for example, headache. So I don't know why I have a headache." Then would you go to the doctor and the doctor say, no, it's because you don't drink water. And you say, oh, okay, this is not a problem. And it's the same when you have a soul problem or a spiritual problem, you say, oh, God, please help me. But when you feel okay, then you forgot God. So
Yes.
it's,
And another interpretation is that in reality, miracle is something that we don't understand how it is happening. The classical example is the mirage. You know, mirage in the dust in the desert. It seems that there is a water in the desert, but that is just a mirage, optical
mm,
hallucination. Yes,
yeah, yes.
it is like that. So if you don't understand that, you say it's a miracle. But when you understand it, miracle disappear.
Yeah, exactly.
It is the same thing with the living things. When we
Mm-hmm.
don't understand the laws that govern the life or that govern the living things, we create the God. But when you understand it, that it is not just a God interference, the God disappear as a person or as a persona who is interfering in the life or who is interfering in the living things.
Mm.
The need of God disappear in that, not the God in the sense of someone who is interfering in the.
Yes, the model for understanding or your what you use for helping.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
So according to Jainism, there are six cardinal truths. Chapter 2, applicable to Jiva. The Ajiva is made of space, matter, Pudgala, Dharma,
Dharmastika, dharmastika, adharmastika, and time.
Dharmastika, Adharmastika, and time,
So now
constituting.
look, the physical universe. Look here in the same culture, India, the Bharat. In the same culture, dharma in Jainism has a different interpretation, has a different meaning. It's not
Mm,
religion at all. It is something like ether. It is not ether, but it is something hypothetical, or it is something that exists in the universe, but not as something religion. You getting my point? Like
yes.
time. Time exists in the universe. Dharmastika is a similar physical thing that exists in the universe. Physical
Mm,
quantity,
I'm getting your point.
like space.
Like time, like, yes.
So we have six cardinal truths or six things or six objects that constitute in the universe. Jiva, that is the living thing. Ajiva, non-living thing. Space, you know space. I don't know if. matter, the Pudgala, the same as it appeared. Pudgala is the Hindi word or Sanskrit word. Dharmastika is a Sanskrit word. Dharmastika, what are they? I think the author is going to explain in the following chapters, not now. It is just to name it.
Yes.
And time, constituting the physical universe. Okay,
Hmm.
please.
So, science agrees with existence of space, time, and matter.
Mhm.
What Dharmastika and Adharmastika are remains a mystery and will be debated in chapter 7. The six entities of the universe are eternal,
Beginningless.
beginningless, indestructible, fixed in number and except matter. Others are incorporeal. These eternal entities undergo change according to laws, are independent of each other, cannot influence each other, nor can they be influenced by anything internal or external, nor can they act on their own. They extend determines the boundary of the universe. Loka.
Yes, Loka is a Hindi word. Lok, we call it Lok,
Lok.
which in English it is universe. So, Lok or universe has a boundary, and what is the limit of the boundary? Until these six things exist: the time, the space, the Dharmastika, and Jiva and Ajiva. In certain places, there is a possibility that Jiva doesn't exist. It's a possibility. But Ajiva, space, matter, Dharmastika, and time will exist until the boundary of the universe.
Mm.
Okay.
Jainism has propounded two basic theories of fundamental principles on which our understanding of the universe and the universal process are based. These are
Anekantva, Aneka,
anekantwa, multi,
multifacetedness.
multifacedness, and karmavad,
Mhm,
causality.
mhm.
Both are equally applicable to physical as well as the conscious Atma or self universe. Anekatwad, Anekatvad describes the true nature of the universe, and Karmavad describes the basic laws which govern all the process in the universe. Anekatvad, chapter 3, implies that the soul has multiple properties, some even contradictory, and all manifest at the same time. It is therefore beyond logic or description. This is the true nature of soul. Anekatvad does not consider the physical universe as an illusion as some Oriental Dharma do, but accept it also as a manifestation of the soul. Karmavad, the law applicable to the soul, is equivalent of causality in the physical universe. Every action has a consequence, and, and every effect has an underlying cause. It is the basic law which governs all the process of jiva, as well as jiva. It implies that a soul is free to act in any way. It means it is the karta, but it is bound by its consequence and cannot escape to the consequence of its actions. It means it is also the
Bhokta.
bhokta. This
The
is a
consequence is termed as bhokta. Bhokta is Hindi word. You do
yeah.
something, and in return you receive something. So when
Mm,
you are doing as a you, but you are also receiving the consequence as you. So you are both the doing and receiving.
okay. The
If you want,
effects.
I can read from here.
No, it's okay. We can
But
finish the complete paragraph. Okay.
okay.
Mm. Uh, the effects cannot be mitigated in any way. The fate is therefore choiceless. Karmavad, chapter 4, besides defining the governing laws for self and interaction of self with matter in its broader perspective, also include operative aspect. It means practice and application by which one can act in accordance in accordance with the law. Because of the practical aspect, it is followed by the Jains rigorously in day-to-day life. Anekatvat, the theory of non-absolutism, on the other hand, in the abstract and its basic foundations have not been fully developed. This principle, describing the fundamental nature of matter and jiva, will be discussed in some detail in chapter 3. As mentioned above, Jainism is not a religion in the strict sense, neither it is matter of faith, nor it is something which God has communicated to the earthlings through his incarnation or through prophets for removing the misery of the people. It is something beyond the religion and faith. It is a path for common people for attaining enlightenment described by the enlightened ones who have realized enlightened by their own efforts and not by supernatural powers. It is a difficult path because enormous effort is required to follow it. At the same time, it is an easy path because various procedures and landmarks are well defined and the path is clearly charted and one does not have to uh, or invent it or depend on someone else to help. In spite of the originality and antiquity, Jainism is not widely known or accepted. It is actually wrong to call it a religion, and we have refrained to use the word religion in the title of this book because in Eastern philosophy, Dharma, erroneously considering synonymous with religion, actually implies the path to the nature, in contrast to the Western philosophy where it is equal to religion or faith. Mm. Now I'm getting your point. Jainism is an atheist faith, giving equal importance to the physical world and spiritual thought. We make an attempt here to interpret its basic tenets in the modern context. The purpose of every living being is to discover the truth of nature and follow the path of liberation. Everyone has to discover his own path to liberation. It depends on the status of each one on this road to liberation and the best mode to achieve the goal, which depend on individual personality. The goal of life is certainly not related to the material world or economic prosperity, simply because upon death, which is un, unavoidable, all the material wealth has to left here, has to be left here. The material wealth can at the most be only a means for achieving the higher goals. The only trait which accompany the soul upon the death of physical body, is the karmas. Various religion and faith in this context serve only as example of various paths or procedures followed by some others who have accomplishment to goal of liberation, but each of these paths may or may not be suitable for everyone. So I need some time for. Sorry, I lose the point where I'm ready.
Look, the whole idea until here is
Yeah.
that fundamentally the author is trying to say when you die, your wealth left behind. You cannot enjoy your wealth. You cannot enjoy what you possess. When somebody die, that person cannot enjoy what that person used to possess. Right? So that is not the goal. However, the wealth can be used to achieve certain higher goals. Okay?
Okay.
The only thing that go with the person when a person die is the karma, which the author is going to describe in chapter 4. Various religion faith in this context serve only as examples of various paths or procedure followed by some others who have accomplished the goal of liberation, but each of these paths may or may not be suitable for everyone. So the author is trying to say there are various religion or faith that have been described by the enlightened ones, but not necessarily the all path or faiths are suitable for everyone. People will follow certain paths, some people will follow certain path. One should ponder over them, but chart his own path. You have to do it by yourself. The whole idea of saying this that people, the enlightened people, are going to only tell you what to do, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
It's not that the other person or enlightened person is going to do it for you. It's not possible. If you want to be enlightened, you have to make the appropriate efforts. That is the idea. Lao
Okay.
Tse called it. Okay, please.
No, I think we can stop here and we can continue in a next video, or
Yeah, sure.
we can finish in some point.
Or maybe we can finish this one.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So,
If you want, I
Lao
can read. Okay, okay.
okay.
Please, please go ahead.
Lao Tse called the in the Tao path the aim of every path to know the truth, and if possible, to realize one's true nature. The fanatism arises because the practice each religion prescribes for attaining this goal have to be followed with rigor and with compromise. If
Without
they have to be effective, if goals of all the religion are the same, they cannot be totally exclusive, and there should be some commonly between them. Commonly between them. One common factor in today's world, in which everyone has a faith, is science. And the methodology of science is the truly universal in the sense that anyone can study, test, and use it. Anyone can study, test, and use it. There is no dispute of in any one's mind about scientific theories, be they related to electricity, nuclear physics, chemical combination of functioning of the body or brain. Therefore, it is desirable to make scientific inquiry into various religions, their basic theory and practice. In some aspect of all religion can be tested and established using scientific methodology. Then we can prepare a common ground and live amity and live in amity.
Okay. So we can stop here on page number 23. Let me highlight here. Oh, maybe edit. Or maybe I will do it later.
Okay, so we will stop the video in
Yes,
this
highlighted
page.
here. Yeah, and we can start from this paragraph on page number 24 in our next video.
Perfect.
So I hope you enjoyed reading as well as getting some points what author is trying to say, and probably it is going to make us to think in deeper sense
Yes, a lot.
of things. Yes, it's a lot of information. Yes,
Yeah, it's a lot of information for thinking about it. Yes.
yes, to
Mm.
process, to debate, to ask questions.
Yes.
That is the whole idea of discussing a book. Well, I like the idea of discussing book like this because it is not something in the air that somebody says something. It is
Yeah.
here and we can check it. It has a reference, it has a citation, and we can go and check it.
Oh, perfect. No, yes, I think this is a very nice book, and how I say it, I think it's very related it's not hard to read it, because
Yes,
they use a very famous examples. And
yes,
as you say, and if they say some scientific proof, you can find it and you can
correlate.
notice that it's right. Yes.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you very much, Elach. I
Thank
think
you.
it was a very nice reading.
Okay.
So
See
I
you.
will stop the recording. See you,
Yeah.
Elach. Thank you
See
very
you.
much.